Well, my camera died. I guess it was for the best, because I started entangling myself too much in over explaining many different stuff I'm trying to talk about. I guess it doesn't work. No, I'm not really satisfied either of the video overall. It's admission of a twin flame, but I'm gonna leave it as it is, because I don't really have an energy to go through it again. And I promised, I gave myself a deadline. I have to post it exactly at 12th of December as a cute symbolic meaning. So I'm gonna stick to that promise. Okay, I'm gonna repeat the Animus and Anima part. Try to be more articulate about it. Well, I'm not really a good speaker, so I'm gonna try mostly read. And this part of a dream section, which I wanted to explain, why does it need a very careful approach, and what does it really mean? Well, that means that you kind of have to wait for symbolics to lay itself out on its own, and then you might connect certain narratives. And this will happen if you write down your dreams in a longer period of time, even if they don't make sense individually. They actually can connect a broader narrative through symbolics. Like I mentioned, this teacher giving me bad grade in history. I had also a similar dream when I was, because I'm writing the dreams now for almost a half a year, and at some point I think I started really worrying more about how these words that I'm writing sound like than the real maybe meaning or the truth behind them. So I was worried, am I doing this in a right way? And then I had a dream where my psychology teacher gave me A in arts, and it actually makes perfect sense, because I pushed my main purpose and then investigating the symbolics in dreams to a secondary place. I was mainly worried about the form and how does it sound if someone would read it. So that is the symbology that actually I'm trying to explain. Now, can you just play with this? Can you just, I don't know, investigate your dreams and just for the sake of investigating dreams? And I would say you can't, because then what will happen is then symbolics will kinda retreat into basically into unconscious nothingness, because if you're doing it just for the sake of a game, then you lost your conscious aim. You do it on a you're kind of sacrificing your conscious aim and purpose, and then your feminine nature won't support you in that way. It will just disperse. And I wouldn't suggest you to do that just for investigating dreams, just for the sake of playing with it, because it will just shift your mental state to the extremes. If you lose like high ordinate principle, moral principle, which is guiding you to do this in the first place. So you have to actually have a good reason for it. And it can also go to the now other extreme, where unconscious nature will fully support you, and it will provide you more than just symbolics. It can also show you things which are going around you in real time, in real sense, like if you are in some kind of threat, or if if people are gonna betray you in some way, or if they are dangerous for you, then you will get like more real visions. You will just know this shit happened. I can give you example for that as well. Well, while I was really trying to do best for myself and everybody, and this was like the heart of this process, almost, when I burned most brightly, when I was waitering. Didn't wanna. I didn't really isolate myself from the people, but I just didn't wanna interact with like meaningless nonsense. So I kinda gave this weird impression of being very potentially, I don't know, dangerous or whatever. So people kinda talk, behind my back, telling I'm a psychopath or things like that, and I could actually, and I dreamt about it, and I saw the group of them, each of their faces, and they're talking about me, how I'm a psychopath, and then this was actually confirmed to me in reality by other person, but I already knew it was real, so I didn't really need to investigate any symbolics. So those are both extremes of like visionary type of dreams. They're also in this category, I would say, even prophetic types of dreams. Then it comes more symbolic types of dreams, which are good for your personality growth, if you want to improve in some mental way. And then it will, if you don't really have any aim, if you're just if your conscious part is just surrounded by the veil of disorientation and confusion, then dreams won't support you at all. Your feminine nature won't support you, and it will just be meaningless to you. You won't even pay attention to them at first place, and even if you would pay attention, you would hardly be able to make sense of it. Okay, so that's the best I can explain about the dreams. Now, Animus and Anima. Okay, I should start this better. So how is the actually psyche structured? So let's start with man's psyche. So conscious part in man's psyche, we call, Jung calls it logos. And then it comes his unconscious part, and also his feminine nature, and then the champion of that feminine nature is called Anima. And woman is built almost in reverse, like conscious part, Eros, then unconscious masculine nature, and the champion of that nature, Animus. So Animus is actually unconscious Logos, and Anima is unconscious Eros in that way. Now, formation of Animus and Anima. So it is already formed in a primordial way, but that doesn't serve any purpose in practical life. It is developed from very early ages by the influence of a parent of an opposite sex. And how do you communicate with your unconscious nature inwardly will always result how you are interacting or getting along with the person of opposite sex outwardly. Also, those are archetypes responsible for maintaining conservative relations between men and women, preventing them from being friends, division to roles for maintaining individual purpose, fatherly and motherly purpose. I said, why is this important? Because why is it important for them not to be friends? Well, I don't know why is it important, but let's say you can agree with a person of the opposite sex to be friends, but still that's just the surface narrative which you're trying to glue to your inner unconscious structure, which won't work because Animus and Anima, this is the word I struggle, Animus and Anima are always scanning each other for compatibility. That's the word I try to find out, yes. So they're always trying to make partners. That's why you can easily fall out of love and fall in love with somebody else if your animus or anima scan that other person to be more compatible. And they are in this like constant scanning. They are constantly in decision whether to fall in love or wage war also. And with twins, good thing is they already decided to fall in love at the first sight through each other projections, but nonetheless it is love. So that's a good part of this terrifying process. You know at the end, like you know that you kind of have to meet again and make it work. But that's just, which is also that bubble phase, which actually serving as a promise, like a preview of that real love you're kind of aiming for. But I would really be careful with the word promise there. So you need this time, what they call separation period, to adjust. Maybe adjust is not a good word. No, maybe deal with your anima to resemble your twin's eros, so that you can enter what Jung called hierogamos, or what twins call a divine union. In other words, you need to cut off or smoothen those rough edges of your personality, which would prevent the relationship between you two to hold stably. As Jung also stated, wed your anima, make peace with your anima, and then wed her in reality. And one other property of this animus anima psychological law is that one can never observe the world through the eyes of the other. And that's why they need, rather than focusing on the opposite sex, rather than focusing on the opposite part, they need a common unifier, which is purpose. You need, together you have to have some greater purpose in life. It doesn't have to be greater purpose, but something to aim outside of that selfish erotic attraction only. And that is the only way that they can get distracted from tearing each other to pieces, because they will do that regardless of amount of love they feel. So conjoined purpose is the only way that erotic attraction can be kept always. And if psychological law, if this is not respected, if psychological law of animus anima syzygy is not respected, this will perpetuate feeling of constant repetition of conflict, struggle, war, betrayal, and worse. Because there is always potential conflict between those two archetypes, but it needs to be carefully weighed out consciously for the purpose of overcoming the conflict, not for the sake of conflict itself. And as I said, one can never observe the world through the eyes of the other. This very fact needs to be observed, conquered, and stored in man's conscious part of psyche, logos, thus that being the only way of overcoming this conflict, so that woman's eros will comply. Consequence of not doing this properly is that man will unconsciously get angry at women for not being men, actually. And that is the if the unconscious could speak reasoning, which is absurd. Like if you get angry at your twin flame for not having exact for not having daydream state which resembles for not sharing your delusions, you're actually getting angry for her not being a man. It actually makes sense, because another way of looking at it is that you let your feminine side speak. This is your unconscious feminine speaking instead of logos masculine, and hence your feminine is asking for a man, not for a woman. Okay, I guess that's all. I guess I've written down about the animus and anima, rather than focusing. Okay, and how to imagine animus and anima in space? Well, if self, and that is the center of the psyche, which is also the archetype of God, that is also the only spot which holds contradictions at peace. If that self would unravel itself in collective, similar to surface of the circle being spread on a plane, the wings it would spread across whole collective psyche would be called animus and anima. This is just how I have to say I imagine it. I'm not going to speak in Jung's. I'm going to refer to Jung here. Well, that's basically everything. Heart needs to learn how to grow, but first it needs to let it go. Oh yeah, that's last verse. I had a dream. Yeah, okay, go back to dreams. I guess when you really establish a good symbology and read, and hence you can read into a dream, you can also ask questions like I do, and this is you can, psychologically this would resemble a form of prayer also. I think it's perfectly matches it. For me at least, this is, if I pray, this is how I pray. So I ask for the guidance of the unconscious mind before, if something troubles me and I don't know how to approach something. So yeah, I ask actually. Well, I'm heading out of myself. So when you establish a good symbolics, you can actually ask the question in a dream, and you might actually get reading back through that symbolics. See, I asked, for example, how should I approach this video? I don't know what I want to talk about. I don't know, like, should I be funny? I prepared some jokes, but I don't know, should I say them? Should I be more serious? And then that night I had a dream about Jordan Peterson doing stand-up comedy. And like he was like laughing his ass off. Like it was so funny to him. And there was a crowd. I don't know if the crowd was laughing, but I wasn't for some. And I can't remember whether jokes were funny or not. Let's say they were funny jokes, but he was laughing at his own jokes so hard that it just wasn't funny to me. Like, and how do I read this? I mean, I guess the answer is yes, you can be funny, but maybe it won't be really fitting. This is how it will look like. That is how I read it. And I mean, alright, I guess that concludes the part of all four of these topics I tried to cover. Now, number 5, end up with practical advices. Well, I don't really have that depends in which stage of how deep in hell you are, and are you gonna escape it sooner? I don't know which stage you are of suffering, basically, and which layer of hell you, to give you practical advice. If you're dominated by jealousy, I would say it is good to scream outside and punch walls instead of going to, I don't know, Twin Flame Facebook group and writing down how your Twin Flame is fucking other people. But you cannot just let it slide, because you can be, I don't want to say naive about it, but you cannot lie to yourself that it won't trouble you, because it will. I mean, I bitched as well, but not in a Facebook group. I mean, I bitched with myself and the walls. So that would be that kind of practical advice. Then if you're more like at the end of it, if you're feeling like the fire is kind of letting go of you, like I would say then you have to do something, maybe something you didn't do before. And anyway, I would suggest you read Jung, like maybe Dreams and Interpreting of Dreams. It's not really a easy book to start with, but I think that this whole process will kind of stretch your soul, like it will stretch you inside, so you will be able to understand Jung thoughts, because he went through this, and he was going through this almost his whole life. I'm not gonna give advices of how to let go, because to be honest, I'm not sure that I learned that. I mean, I could understand pretty much everything except how to let go, so I'm not gonna be hypocrite about it. Also, yeah, I had this verse I'm just reciting. That was the same night dream, different dream, but same night. Like, when I asked for guidance, how should I approach this video, at the end of a dream, I mean, I remember I was riding bicycle in one direction at some point, and then I had to ride it back almost same way, but it was really, I remember it was really hard to move the pedals. So I was doing something wrong. I mean, I am probably doing something wrong even right now. So I have to kind of go back and you know, and at the end of the dream, I heard this song which my mind made, and it almost, and that verse woke me up. Like, heart needs to learn how to grow, but first it needs to let it go. And it was repeating itself like in a recital. Heart needs to learn how to grow, but first it needs to let it go. I was thinking it was very fascinating to wake up with the verse. Well, okay, I mean, this is basically my conclusion of trying to make my twin flame video and trying to sound smart at the same time. This is I guess the best I can do. Right, that's it.